what I like about this panel, while we're going to have this discussion, how many people here were born in America? Raise your hand. Okay.
Wow.
Born in America. How many people's parents were born here in America? Raise your hand. Okay.
Oh.
Where's your family from?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Where's your family from?
Mexico.
Mexico. Where's your family from?
Israel.
Israel. But you live
South Africa.
South Africa. Where's your family from?
Brazil.
Brazil. Where's your family from?
Guyana and Honduras.
That's that good tan right there.
Yes.
Jordan, your parents, your family?
They were born in America.
America first, y'all. So Jordan just said, y'all. Aimee?
Australia and Hungary.
Amazing. Does anybody here on this panel not love America? Great answer. Not love America.
Don't love America.
Okay, great. Let's have that discussion. You guys, where were you born?
You first.
Colombia.
Colombia. And we all know that you're the assassin from Akron, Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
That's true.
OHIO.
Okay. So Ran doesn't love America. Can we alert the immigration? Let's get it. Ran, we're going to find out why. And we're going to find out if South Africa is doing it better than America. But let's get this clip started, and we won't pick on our good friend Ran, who's actually here to teach you guys. But you're pissing me off now, Ran. I can't even start the show. You know?
Happy to have a debate.
We have a Chilean right there that is coming for your neck. Anyway, political strategist Frank Lutz speaks with anti-American Gen Z that are from America. Let's roll the first second of the clip. This is on one of the biggest financial shows in the world, CNBC Squawk Box. Go ahead.
Socialism, because I think, frankly, capitalism is destroying our planet, where shareholders are going after profits at the expense of our environment, at the expense of the lives of humans.
Ultimately, capitalism is what makes...
Pause for a second. Let's just put it on 1.0 speed because it sounded pretty fast. I'm going to point to who's speaking. The first person that spoke was the gentleman not at the top and not in the first from the left, second from the left in the gray shirt. You can see him in glasses. He was advocating for socialism.
Lucio?
Got it?
Lucio.
Yeah.
Lucio.
Okay.
Loose me. The next person, go ahead.
America, so sought after.
That's the bottom right guy.
It's why everybody wants to come here, not the other way around.
Capitalism
Bingo, pause
encourages.
It's why everyone wants to come here and not the other way around. PBD always uses the analogy, how can you tell what's a good restaurant? And people, just real quick, how do you tell what a good restaurant is?
The reviews.
The reviews? Go ahead, Astrid.
How many people are going to the
How
restaurant?
many people are going?
How many people are standing in line?
How many people are standing in line? Bingo, bingo. The person that hates America. It's exactly. How long of a wait? How many people are in line to get into the restaurant? If you walk right in and there's nobody in line, probably not a good restaurant. Hey, there's a 2-hour wait. What the? That's America. Longest line in the world. How about you, Australia? Nothing?
Yeah, I would agree.
Is there a long line?
Penal colony.
Is there a long line to get into America? Because I heard people were just getting in every single
Damn.
day.
Oh,
I don't know. I heard there's a back door. I heard there's a back door. And
Great
I heard
point.
that.
Like this.
I heard that you can either wait in
build the
line
wall.
or
Let's
you
build
can
the wall.
just get in.
Rant.
Get through it.
Yeah.
Awesome point.
Yeah.
Legal immigration versus illegal immigration. Great point. There is
Well,
illegal
immigration.
Illegal immigration.
Illegal.
Why do you court
What's
it?
that?
Why do you court
Rand,
it?
we're gonna get to Rand, guys. Hold
You
up.
can immigrate.
get to
hold on,
Rand.
hold on. You can immigrate legally, and you need to pay a lawyer and come with a certain amount of money and go
Like
through
what I did, okay?
Or you can immigrate illegally and get a free hotel, a credit card,
$10,000.
$10,000. I mean,
Insane.
what kind of restaurant is this?
It's a restaurant that doesn't mind cleaning up slop every single night and then serving the best food. But continue with these interviews with these kids. Go ahead.
The exploitation of people. I think capitalism
Top
supports people who are already at the top.
I'm actually the son of Cuban refugees.
Top left.
So I understand
guy at the top
firsthand how
left.
the dangers of socialism.
Bingo. Okay. So, this is, if you ask anyone 40 plus, capitalism versus socialism, what do you think the answer would be, Yinka?
It would probably be capitalism.
Okay. Jordan, your age, why do you think young people are so fascinated by this concept of socialism?
Because I think they've been brought up to hate the rich and have a distaste for people of power. And I think that they see it as an easy way to get money. If everybody has the basic income and I can get that, then I can just like scroll TikTok all day and still make money, you know? People is not building skills like they used to, you know, because they don't feel the need that they have to.
Amazing. We're going to have this conversation. You're from families from Mexico.
Yes, from Mexico.
So they go through having a socialist president, capitalist president, they go back. Why do you think young people are so pro-socialism?
I think when you're young, you tend to lean more left, right? Socialism is obviously the more extreme left of the spectrum, right? And then you have democratic and then center and then, you know, all the other end. But I think they're so prone to that because when you're young, you know the phrase, if you're not like democratic, you have no heart. And then when you're older, if you're not Republican.
When you're young, if you're not a liberal, you have no heart. When you're older and you're not a conservative, you have no brain.
Yeah.
By the way, I've just gone through that.
Yeah. But
big heart, no brain. Now, big brain, no heart. I'm trying to find the balance.
Yes.
I went from having empathy to having apathy. Now I'm just trying to have an appetite at the restaurant called America that Ran loves so much. Play the next clip when they talk about colleges and the indoctrination of our youth. Because, listen, guys, this might also be controversial. I believe that the children are the future.
Oh, great.
If you teach them well,
And let them
you
lead the way.
lead the way. You have
Show
to
them
show
all
them
the-
all the beauty
They
they
possess
possess
inside.
inside. What do you have to give them? A sense of pride. Ran, me and you, we're going to do a duet one day. Let's talk about what colleges are going on. Go ahead.
I was not surprised about the conclusion. Young people are always to the left. But when they use a word like exploitation, when they talk about corruption or greed, those send off bells to me, and I'm
Speaking the
warning
bells of Wall Street.
Washington, D.C., that all this anger and all this frustration with the economy,
You talked about anger
no,
and
it's not good.
frustration. Yep.
No, it's not working for them.
Bingo.
And you better pay
Pause it right there. And you better pay attention to what he said. By the way, just real quick before we get to colleges, you're from Brazil.
Yes.
We've almost interviewed Bolsonaro.
Bolsonaro.
But now he's like literally on the run. And then they just re-elected someone that was in jail.
That was in jail,
Lula,
corrupted.
major socialist, almost communist.
Yes.
Very aligned with. What have you learned about being born in a potential socialist communist country of Brazil?
Well, Bolsonaro just gave us a little break from this whole way to be like a governor, and kind of they teach people that they can have like parties and have the basic, and that way they will be fine. So they just provide the basic, and then people feel good, because Brazilians, you know, I love my people, but not like all of them like to work hard. You know, we have beautiful beaches around, we have a lot of fun things to do, and we prefer, like, most of the people prefer to have the basic instead of like working
Hey,
hard
Brazil?
to.
Stop being so basic.
Yes.
It's a basic ass country. I'll tell you something.
Exactly. So they
ladies
like
in
the
Brazil-
government.
I was
the
gonna
ladies in
say.
Brazil,
Not basic.
Not basic.
Not
Yeah.
basic.
The ones,
Not basic.
the ones that move here, the ones that move here because they learn what is,
Gotcha.
you know,
But
good.
you said that this gotta work. You know some of my two favorite words in the English language? I'm a big four-letter word fan, in case you haven't found out.
Oh.
Work and earn. That's the foundation of capitalism. So, Ran, what the hell's going on in South Africa? So, I know you said that you're not a fan of America. You're the only person that raised their hand. You know, when I think of South Africa, I think of the situation with apartheid, with the Dutch, the colonization, then Mandela gets out of jail. Like 40 years in jail, I want to say. How long?
27 years.
27 years in there. I just added a few on for good measure because that's how I felt. This guy survived jail, gets out of jail, divorces his wife after years. Like, I can't do this shit. I gotta do jail. Marriage, that's a whole other situation.
If you would have met his wife,
Yes.
you would have understood why he divorced her.
Makes sense. But what is going on in South Africa? Because I've seen some of the situation, the headlines, especially what's going on in the world today. And I was like, let me take a deeper look at what's going on in South Africa. And I was like, oh, it is way worse than I thought. It's in the top 3 countries that is unemployment is above 20%. It's a mess there. What's going on in your country?
So first of all, I think don't just take the headlines, because the headlines are the tip of, they always show the most sensationalist things.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it's a happy place. I think it's got a very complicated history, 40 years of apartheid, where there was real segregation between white and black. And then there was the change in, Mandela came out of jail, and there was a change in leadership. And they tried to merge the nation, but there was so much resentment from the people that were discriminated against previously that it was almost like, in a way, payback time. And so because of all the things the white people did to
Sounds familiar.
the black people,
yeah,
they became like reverse. You almost want to call it reverse apartheid.
Gotcha.
So if you were a white male, you couldn't get a job. You got a lot of, it was just the equality thing. Now, I'm glad to say that now, probably 30 years after that, we're starting to move forward, but it's going to take a long time. I mean,
is it getting better or worse now with everything that's going on in the world, with this whole decolonization, intersectionality, critical race theory, oppressor, oppressed? And you might be saying, what a weird conversation to have during a capitalism, socialism conversation, but that concept is actually at the forefront of all of this, which is very ironic.
It takes time to heal the wounds of the past. We're 30 years later. The same political party has been in power for the last 30 years, which is the ANC, African National Congress. And I think that we're coming up to a very important election now at the end of May. And if they don't win the whole majority, I think that for the first time we can actually start becoming a real mixed country again, as opposed to a country that is run by the same party that fought for the rights of the black people against the white people, so to speak.
Okay.
So I think this is a telling election. There's an election coming up, a telling election.
With all the problems that South Africa's facing, I mean, America, we have our issues. South Africa's economic issues, social issues, way worse. So why not look at America as sort of like a beacon of hope, a shining city on a hill? What's your, I guess,
let's get into
negative attitude towards America?
Let's get into it. So I think the only time that you can comment about what one country is relative to another is if you've tried to live in both countries.
Okay.
And I'm not saying America's bad. I'm saying for me, America's not a great place to be, but for somebody else, it may be an amazing place to be.
What are the biggest downsides that you've seen in America?
Let me tell you about the downsides of South Africa, just so you understand my frame of references. Okay. Some days, 8 hours of no electricity. There's just no electricity. There's not enough power. They haven't maintained.
Some days, 8 hours. How many days a year?
Pretty bad.
Every day, I would say that 90% of all the days there is a disruption in electricity.
90%.
Even if you're in like a rich neighborhood.
Let me tell you, if the electricity goes out for 2 minutes while Gen Z's playing Xbox, World War III.
Let's say on 90% of all days there's an electricity interruption. It can range anything between 2 hours and 8 hours. Now you may think, okay, no PlayStation and no lights. It's not like that. Every single traffic light in every single street shuts down. Just imagine what the traffic would look like here if every single traffic light shut down. Imagine you had committed to being at a meeting, but the lights the traffic lights were out. What the hell would you do?
Yeah.
So we have problems in South Africa. But I for me, still find it a better place than the United States. Now, why?
Yeah.
I came to the United States because I came to the land of the free. They told me that if you come to the United States, this is the land of the free and it's the land of opportunity. And that's what I expected. When I got here, what I realized was it's the land of the free, but terms and conditions apply, and you need this permit, and you need this license, and you need to go through this bureaucracy. And when you do, you're going to be watched like an absolute hawk, because there is a culture to make sure that there's a very strong enforcement culture. And I just felt that it was the exact opposite of land of the free. And so to me...
Enforcing what specifically?
Well, yeah, what were you doing?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
what you doing, Ran?
Anything that you want to do in this country, you need a license or a permit. You'll agree with me? You can't do anything here without a license or a permit.
Do you think that's a bad thing?
And how does that differ?
To me, that's not land of the free.
But don't you think, would you want everybody to be able to have access to things instead of people having to go through the right pre-steps?
I prefer like I mean, I've seen real capitalism. I'm not comparing Africa to the US because the US has an amazing infrastructure. I prefer real capitalism where you can do what you need to do without a government deciding who's going to get a license and who's not going to get a license.
I don't think it's without government. I think it's less
to go to med
government
school, right? I want my
interference.
lother to go to law school. What are you talking about?
That kind.
So what are you talking about? Could you give it like a real world example by chance?
Real estate license.
I mean, I think most countries.
Driver's license.
Most countries have a
Crypto
real estate
exchange. Gun
license.
license. What's that?
Crypto exchange
It's very tough for me it's very tough for me to pinpoint one thing. But I just found that to get things done here, you needed 1,000,001 different approvals, licenses, and stuff like that. Whereas in other countries that I've operated in, it was just much easier.
So Rand,
and much simpler.
I actually have a
now hold on.
Yeah.
Now I do believe that this
Rand,
country
just
has,
hold it on me.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
I do believe that this country has the most opportunity.
Yeah.
I do believe that this country has the most opportunity for entrepreneurs because it has the most. Number one, has the most incredible infrastructure.
Okay.
Number two, it has the most people with money in the world in terms of a country that I've ever or population. So if you want to do things, and you want to do things big, this is a great place to be because there's the most people in the world with the most infrastructure to be able to service those people, be it internet, the ability to think about this. There's probably more people with fast internet in the US than any other country in the world. There's probably more people that have access to fast deliveries than any other country in the world. In South Africa, we don't have Amazon. I can't order this on Amazon.
So does Africa have the stuff that we have to do, like for pre-qualifications? No.
Do whatever you want.
But you guys lose electricity 90%
But
of your
that's
day.
Do whatever you want.
Don't mix the
Maybe
two
that's
things.
why,
Don't
huh?
mix the two
But
things.
isn't there like
One is-
high crime?
Don't
I
mix
gotta
the
ask
two
you a
things.
question.
That's
Don't
South
mix the two
Africa
things.
though, not
Yes.
Africa as a whole.
So,
He's talking about South
I want to get your opinion.
Nigeria. I had an office in Nigeria. It was even
Your
worse.
family is from where?
Nigeria, and I grew up
Nigeria.
in
I want to
Nigeria.
ask you a question about
Nigeria is
Nigeria.
way worse.
But Rand,
Way worse.
Rand,
Way worse.
let's stay here, buddy. Thank you. What major country? I'm talking a country with, what would you define as a major country? Population. More than 50 million people?
You're missing the point.
No, hold on. You're going to miss the point in a second. Before we cut your mic, Rand. Just kidding. And I'm eliminating Luxembourg, Monaco, St. Bart's. Everyone's like, oh, I want to go to Sweden. Dude, there's 3 million people in Sweden. Oh, look at what Scandinavians doing. Bro, there's like 15 people in fucking Iceland. What are you talking about? In America, there's 330 million people. In China, there's 1.2 billion people. India just surpassed China, 1.3 billion people. Brazil, her country. How many people in your country?
A lot.
How many bad bitches in your country?
Stop it.
But so when you're talking about major economic powerhouses, what country would you want to move to?
No one beats the United States.
I
but
mean-
look at
Okay.
the- but wait.
So not but wait.
No, let me tell you.
Stay right
No,
there.
let me tell you.
Nobody beats the United States.
In terms of where you're at. But now
Okay.
look at the trajectory. So
Go ahead.
For me, I look at the trajectory. And the trajectory, if I look at the US, the trajectory is down. And if I look at other emerging countries, the trajectory is up. I would argue right now that China, which had a very bad trajectory, is now on a...
But would you want to live there though,
No,
in a
hold on,
communist
hold on,
country?
hold on, I'm talking about...
Pull up that China story in a second.
Let's talk about another country. And I know you're going to say it's a drop in the ocean. Let's talk about Dubai. Let's see what Dubai has achieved in the last 10 years versus what the US has achieved in the last 10 years. Have you been to Dubai?
I have not been to Dubai. I know you guys were just in Dubai, were you not?
I'm saying...
You're just there?
I'm saying...
Stranded in the middle
You got
of the road.
stranded where? During a flood?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no.
But Dubai's a fake country. It's fake news. It's a fake country. It's sand that they built.
With a lot of money.
Okay, but go ahead.
I think that the trajectory in the United States is down, and the trajectory in other countries is starting to be up.
But
So
they're
yes, you can rest on the fact that I'll give it to the founding fathers and everyone that went up to a certain point. They did an amazing job. They built an amazing country with an amazing education system, with an amazing infrastructure. But I don't think that that's the United States that's happening now. I think as someone who's well traveled and lived in many countries, I think that the trajectory of the United States now, if they carry on the way that they carry on we'll get to the reasons, but if they carry on the way that they're carrying on, that in 50 years, because remember, countries take a long time to destroy themselves and a long time to build themselves. But I think that if we have this discussion in 50 years and the US doesn't change trajectory, doesn't look good.
Well,
But
where
it is that's the
Yeah,
point.
where-
We're going to see what happens this October, but things are about to be polar opposite if things go our way.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that 99% of people would completely agree with you in the fact that if we're able to change our leadership, we look weak to the rest of the world right now. We look weak.
It's a joke.
To a lot of exactly.
It's
It
a
is the
joke.
butt of it. I'm from Australia. Trust me, I get it. My friends are always taking the piss. We're the butt of every joke. But I truly believe that America is so unique in the sense that it's a leader for the rest of the world. And if we're able to switch things up here, we're really going to be able to set an example that many other countries are going to follow.
I think you're wrong. And I'll tell you why I think you're wrong. And I'm going to bring it back to Dubai. And again, the only reason why I use Dubai is because I've been going there for the last 20 years and I've seen what they've managed to achieve in the last 20 years. And you can say it's play, and it's fake. The reality is what they've built in 20 years would take this country 400 years to build with the current leadership.
Sure.
Okay? There's advantages and disadvantages to democracy. And I agree with you. And I think that there's amazing advantages and disadvantages. But the one disadvantage of democracy is that you have to negotiate for everything and you can't get shit done. And that is where the United States is. Whereas in some countries, like in Africa and like in Dubai, they get shit done really quickly and it's good shit.
But if we didn't have a democracy right now, what would our current system look like? We would be stuck under Joe Biden's leadership. Democracy is so important for a country like America.
So this is another problem that I had with America. I came here because I thought that America was the bastion of equality and freedom and fairness and stuff like that. And I arrived here, and what I realized was that actually this place is really corrupt. And everything here is really, really, really corrupt. In Africa, everything's also really corrupt, but at least you know.
We're diabolical. We're more diabolical about it. And you know what? I agree. There's a difference between equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. And right now, there's a lot of evil people who are pushing for equality of outcome. And there's a lot of diabolical means that they're going about to make that happen.
Just back before, let me just say one thing, and then you're going right to this. Ran, this is the problem that I had with the whole Sweden, Finland, Norway thing. What's the population of Dubai?
Oh.
Pull it up.
Rich people.
3 million people. I'm guessing 3 million people.
Right now.
But Dubai's one city in the UAE of maybe 10 million people. Talk to me when you have 100 million people. Talk to me when you have 300 million people.
I don't understand that argument.
What do you mean? 3 million people. Is it easier to move a country? Who runs Dubai? It's a king and queen, right? It's a king?
Yes.
It's a monarchy. Just a king. Women don't have rights there. They can shake that ass, but they can for the shakes. 3 million people. So we have 330 million people here. Good luck.
Dubai is the size of Miami, South Florida. We have like almost 3 million
Exactly.
people.
I'm not arguing in terms of size.
But I am arguing in terms of size.
Well, the quality of life.
Here's what I agree with you. Trajectory of the United States.
You're not achieving a lot. You're not achieving a lot.
Questionable. But don't compare Dubai, that's a fake city on a fake hill, to an actual shining city on a hill.
We're talking about trajectory.
I'm with you.
As an outsider, have you read Ray Dalio's books? Have you looked at how Ray Dalio says that there's a collapse of an empire every couple of years, and that changes the currency?
100 years?
Yes.
And he looks at all the stats as to where the United States
But that's different from where you would want to live, though, because they're going to say China.
Astrid.
So basically, to your point, yes, U.S. it's not overdue to fail, so to speak. But again, China is surpassing us in terms of like economic GDP, et cetera. So I get what you're saying in terms of trajectory, but socially, quality of life, would you really want to live in China versus U.S.? Anyways, back to this topic though of Gen Z, why they're focusing on socialism versus capitalism. My only comment to that is I totally understand. I mean, look at it right now. Our economy is, to me, crap. The inflation's at an all-time high. We're in $34 trillion of debt, more than what we were actually economically putting out, right?
Good trajectory.
But my point is, though, so socialism involves getting the government more involved and saying, hey, the government is going to have kind of oversee everything, make sure that everyone has like universal basic income, like, divvy up resources.
Healthcare, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, healthcare, et cetera. And while I definitely having a baby, I will say healthcare is terrible. I was told, it's so funny, by an Uber driver who lived in Germany. He's like, yeah, you can't get fired if you go on maternity leave. They actually pay you a certain stipend up to whenever a kid's a certain age. Anyways, don't quote me on that.
Birth is free? No, it's true.
Birthing is free.
A lot of places have socialized healthcare. Same in Australia.
But I will say, aside from that, do we really trust the government currently if we were to move to a more socialistic environment, do we trust the government right now to do so? No.
No, because everyone will end up equally poor. They're all solving for equality. What do you always say? Go ahead, give your line.
Oh, it's just, I mean, we said it before. There's the huge difference between equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome.
Yeah.
And,
then
one,
with
one
all
of them
these-
is evil and diabolical, and one of them is just how nature and
Yeah.
life and societies naturally occur.
Yinka, what do your people tell you out there in Nigeria? Your experience. You want to move back to Nigeria? Or you want to stay in America?
I mean, I would definitely love to move back to Nigeria, but
What is happening?
But I'm talking from a position of
Yes.
privilege, right? Because I wouldn't be starting from ground zero in Nigeria. I'll be taking my
Right.
resources from here
Great
to
point,
Nigeria. So
thank
it's
you.
very, very different for me to move to any country for that matter. I could move to Brazil or
Yeah.
Argentina. I would not be starting from the regular ground roots of
You wouldn't be
Argentina.
pulling a Drake and start from the bottom.
Right. I'm not.
Now you're here in America.
So it's a different transition. But I have to touch on a couple of things real quick. I think the equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome issue is not really as simple as good and evil. It's a perspective difference. The younger generation feel as though the system in place doesn't treat everybody equally. And what they mean by that is that if there's an ability to generate wealth, why is there so much poverty? Why is there so much homelessness? So these issues are not tied to some evil person behind the scenes trying to balance the scales artificially, right? But you call them Gen Z, whatever you want to call them, they may have an issue that's legitimate. You could disagree with their approach. Now, capitalist society, socialist society, I have news flash. The United States is not 100% capitalist society either. We have a lot of socialist type
Yeah, we have
activity.
social security.
We have a mixed, most countries have a mixed economy, but that's different.
Even China, that is the communist, the CCP, right? It's capitalism to make money, but communism to spread the money. I get
Exactly.
it.
So
Nothing's 0 or 100.
So
Totally
it's
agree.
always about the
But
equality
the
component.
foundation here is still capitalism.
For sure.
Do you believe that the U.S. is a truly capitalistic society?
What do you mean truly?
Capitalistic.
More than 50%? Yes.
Do you believe
Is it
that
100%? No. What society is 100%?
Yeah.
Laissez-faire economics, Adam Smith, what have you. No economy can operate like that because we need to help the people at the bottom, social safety net.
Right.
But we're not Brazil, which is full-on communist at this point.
Right.
We're not Venezuela, that is straight up the
Straight
worst
up.
country in the Western Hemisphere. So let's have a little perspective.
And South Africa has a big disparity too. South Africa has one of the worst income disparity, where a small population of people own majority of the resources. So you could play different ways and say, okay, can I live here because there's more opportunity because I don't need a license? But those safety nets happen for a reason. This is the socialist component that we don't talk about because we don't like to hear that word. But when the government's telling you need a license for something, when they're giving you permits for something, it's bureaucratic. But it's
When the
for
government-
safety.
So what are you
When the
guys talking
government-
about? Because
when
you
the
both brought up
government
the
is
licensing
taking-
thing. What is an
no.
example of the licensing that you're unable to get here versus you being in Africa, in Nigeria, or in South Africa?
Well-
could you guys provide me like one example, please?
I'll give you an
Come
easy
on,
one.
you
Maybe
And
it's
help me
crypto
out if I'm missing a point.
My two African friends, go ahead.
Basic retail is straight to market in most African countries. You don't need to have a license or permit to sell certain things. Basic
Anything.
resale. You can just open your shop, get your goods and services, and sell it. Right? You don't need the government to give you a
that? Yeah, right.
As
license.
long as
Go
you
to-
can
Yeah.
afford
Trust
rent
that?
and you have goods to sell, you
Yes.
can just start
people
selling.
that-
And you have
Here I go to a
buyers.
barbershop. Here I go to a barbershop and I get my hair done in a
GDP
barbershop,
of
and
the
he
world
needs to
versus
have
Africa.
and he needs to have a license.
I hope so. They're
Okay,
about to
but-
cut your hair.
But again, where would
A
you?
license.
Yes, but you don't think having
So-
that
so-
sense
so-
of
so I-
security before trusting somebody to
You know,
like
they
goods
say there's a
from
famous quote
or
out there.
invest is
If you want to
important.
cut your hair, you got to pay your fare.
Right.
That's
so,
how it works.
Stop
so
it.
Ran-
Yes.
I feel Rand's frustration. I understand it.
I don't.
But I have to say though,
Yeah,
I have to
I
say,
don't.
I'm
I don't
confused by it.
understand that.
I'll tell
For
you
me-
why.
Yeah, go ahead.
But he's the
The
only person
ease-
here that doesn't live in America.
Go ahead.
the
So-
ease of entry and the ease of a business person in the market seems to be more streamlined in African countries. However, there's a risk. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you go get your hair cut in an African country and you,
want
have
the
a
government to
breakout of
protect.
rash,
You want the government to
Getting
protect you.
rash.
You
That's
have a-
socialism.
you have a
No,
breakout
it's
of
not.
I
You
don't
can't
want-
compare
Guys,
that to
don't
anything
make
happening
me
in
bust out
China.
GDP per capita
Wait.
in all these countries.
Wait,
Sue their
but I'm
ass.
saying
Don't make me
that
do
And take
this.
their license
the permit
away.
system may be beneficial because it gives protection.
Yes.
If you cut your hair and you break out in a rash, and your friend does the same thing next week and he breaks out in a rash, and everybody breaks out in a rash, who's making sure that that entity
That's
is...
land of the free, though.
Guys,
but again,
guys,
land of the free.
stop it.
But how
Stop
free?
it.
How free?
Okay, listen. No disrespect.
Right.
We're not worried about breaking out a rash in Africa, making a haircut. We're talking to break out an Ebola rash.
Right.
What is happening?
Yeah.
come on.
Tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Come on. That's not true. That's not true. I mean,
Ryan?
you're taking the most
GDP
rural...
per capita. Here we go. Hold on. This is GDP per capita. This is just in Africa. I can't believe I'm comparing United States
Africa's
to my African brethren here.
2000.
Punch in a little bit. What GDP per capita is the highest country in Africa?
No, but you
highest
can't take
Egypt?
that. Look, I'm not.
It
Don't
says
compare
Egypt
to
has
Africa.
the highest.
Look at
No,
the
this is
trajectory.
per continent. This isn't it.
That's
Keep
the
it moving.
right there.
We got to go per country. So United States, as a major nation, has the highest GDP per capita in the world. It's not even close. If you want to go to African countries, in my
No,
opinion,
you can't compare. You can't compare. But there is
What do you
no
mean you can't
comparison.
compare?
There is no comparison.
that's the whole point
That's
of
what
GDP per
you're-
capita,
You can't
Rand,
really compare
is to
though,
compare.
It's like the major corporation of the world are over here. And
Yes, you can't compare
like,
that.
it's-
But look at the trajectory. Look at the trajectory of
You
other
want to talk
countries.
to me about hey, in 50 years, you know,
You're gonna get
Tanzania
finally
is gonna
above
be there.
negative.
I'm talking about now, motherfucker.
Yeah,
well, you
but
can
you have to
compare.
be
Here's the thing.
forward-thinking,
You can
know?
compare. But the
Would
question
you
is, what are you
invest-
comparing?
Would you
right?
invest?
Exactly.
If you had,
What do you
if you had,
compare?
You
hold on.
guys are comparing to our current
But by the
leadership,
way,
which
quality
is
of
let me
life.
say
that's
one
the
thing,
reason why
and then we
shows
gotta
like
go to
this
the next
exist.
topic. Whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full SOSCAST. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.